Now, natural resources has an associated problem which we have created. Some of the problem I identified, I am showing it to you here. The first is the unequal consumption of the natural resources. As you know, the industrialization, how developing nations are using a great amount of consumption of resources per capita per individual compared to the developed countries, which is using 50 times greater than the developing countries. It's a race between developing nations and the developed nations. However, this is not helping us, helping the future generation. Energy from the fossil fuel consumed in much greater quantities than the developed countries. Now, their per capita consumption of food is much greater, as well as their waste is also much greater. For example, just take USA as an example, which uses 4% of the world, which has 4% of the world population consumption, means population, consumes 25% of the world's resources. So you can see that almost too much consumption, which is indirectly converted to waste. Producing animal food for human consumption required more land than growing crops. Thus, countries that are highly dependent on non-vegetarian diets needs much larger areas for pasture land than those where the people are mainly vegetarian. So yes, it's not a comment from my side. That's what the study says. How the land use, planning land use can help us. So extensive use means the high amount of use of land, the less amount of land available for a human are one of the major problem. Some of the solutions, as you know, land is one of the major resource for food production, animal husbandry, industry, and for growing a human settlement. In extensive land use extended at cost of white land, our remaining forest, grassland, wetland means everything has been dependent on the lithosphere. In order to evolve, we need to have some land use policy. Scientists today believe that at least 10% of land and water bodies of each ecosystem must be kept as wilderness for the long-term needs of protecting nature and natural resources. Land as resource under serious pressure and increasing land hunger, it's devastating. The most damaging changes in land use rapidity, with which forests have been vanished during this recent time, both in India and the rest of the world, are alarming. Forest provides us a variety of service, dear, if you know. They use to maintain the oxygen level. They are the sinks for CO2, carbon dioxide. They remove carbon dioxide naturally from the earth, from the atmosphere. They control over the water regimes and slowing down the erosion, and also produce products such as food, fuel, timber, fodder, medical plants, and etc. Many much more importance are involved. See, earth resources are, you can say that how we have consumed, over consumed those things. We required some sustainable lifestyle. Now, the need has been arised to use the resources in a sustainable manner. The quality of human life and the quality of the ecosystem on earth are the indicators of the sustainable use of resources. These are clear indicators of sustainable lifestyle in human life. It is needed at present. We have too many goals to cover to make it sustainable. But the three important factors that identify the human development index are increase the longevity, increase in knowledge, and enchantment of income. These three together give you the human development index. The quality of the ecosystems are indicators that are more difficult to access. You can say the stabilized population, the long-term conservation of biodiversity, the long-term use of natural resources, the prevention of the degradation and pollution of the environment. See how we are. The magnitude of the shift of the resources has been increased in parallel and with the growth of industry and urbanization, and has changed natural landscapes all over the world, which you are quite aware of. If you are not, you can just surf it on the net, go through some videos over the social media platform. In many cases, this rapid development of urban economy, but to a far I can say that we are slowly developing economically, especially socially, we are very slow developing. Not only we, I'm talking about the humankind, which is at present is not kind. For example, how are you targeting the rural people with their development? The serious impover, I mean to say impoverishment of the lives of the wilderness dweller, how they are going to do work, the tribal people, how they are living. The result of this such serious inequality in the distribution of resources among human beings, which is both unfair and unstable. It is also unsustainable. See, we human being, or you can say the man, the resources on which mankind is dependent is divided into some of the spheres. I will talk about the spheres, but the first sphere which I want to talk about is the atmosphere. Oxygen for human respiration means what do atmosphere provides you? First it provides oxygen, then comes the tropopause, means there are different layers of the atmosphere. The atmosphere provides you the oxygen for the humans, for the wild fauna, flora. Oxygen is a part of CO2 which is used in the growth of plants. Okay. Now the atmosphere forms a protective shell over the earth's. Now the lowest layer is called the troposphere. If you are not sure about the troposphere, but not know about the different layers of atmosphere, so you can say that the atmosphere is consist of many layers. One is troposphere, then comes the stratosphere, and then it goes on. The atmosphere forms a protective shell over the earth. The lowest layer, which is called the troposphere, which is about 12 kilometer thick. Then comes the stratosphere, which is 50 kilometer thick, and it contains a layer of sulfates, which is important for the formation of rain. It also contains a layer of ozone, which absorbs the UV light over the and which cause cancer to humans and other species if directly incidental. The atmosphere is not uniformly warmed by the sun. The ununiformity in the temperature, the difference in temperature creates the air flow and the variation in the climate. The temperature and rainfall in different parts of earth is different. This complex dynamic system creates a very beautiful view, very beautiful sceneries for us. If its nature is disrupted, it affects all the human beings. Most air pollutants have both global and regional effects. Living creature cannot survive without air even for a span of few minutes. To continue to support life, air must be clean. Major pollutants of air are created by industrial units. You can't say that CO2 is one of the major, CO is one of the major greenhouse gases. Toxic fumes are generated, you can say, passed on from the industries on the air freely. Air is also polluted by burning the fossil fuels. The buildup of the carbon dioxide, which is known as the greenhouse effect in the atmosphere, is leading to the current global warming. The growing number of vehicles like scooters, motorcycles, cars, buses, trucks, which runs on the fossil fuel like petrol and diesel, is the major cause of air pollution in cities and along highways. Now I can say that electrical vehicles are one of the options for it because those are dependent on the lithium, which is quite dangerous for human beings when wasted. It is going to be converted in future in electronic waste. then we have to look forward to some more points that how we are going to solve this. Now, air pollution leads to acute and chronic respiration disease, which in various lung, it can also create asthma and cancer. Then comes the hydrosphere, one of the most important part of the four sphere, the hydrosphere, the water. It provides us fresh water for life and sustainability. Now, what do you think about hydrosphere? Hydro means water. It provides that water for drinking, for washing, cooking, for agriculture industry, for food resources, for development of agriculture use. It also provides water in form of sea for fish, seaweeds, crustacea, etc. Food from freshwater resources include fish, crustacea, and aquatic plants. So water do provide you food. Water flowing down from mountain range is harnessed to generate electricity in hydroelectric projects. The hydrosphere covers 3 quarters of the Earth's surface. See how much water is important in our life. It provides human with sea and freshwater food. A major part of hydrosphere is the marine ecosystem in the ocean, while only a small part occurs in the form of freshwater. Freshwater is in the form of rivers, lakes, and glaciers, which are being renewed by the process of evaporation and rainfall. Some of this freshwater lies in underground aquifers. Human activities such as deforestation has created serious changes in the hydrosphere. Once land is denuded of vegetation, the rain erodes the soil, which is washed into the sea. Chemicals from the industry and sewages find their way into the river and sea by us only, and we are just living and hanging out there and here. Water pollution thus threatens the health of communities, as all our lives depend on the availability of the clean water. This once plentiful resource is now becoming rare and expensive due to pollution, because we only depend on the fresh water, even if it's contained the one third part of the earth's surface. We are not utilizing it in a proper manner. We are we are abusing it. We are abusing each and every part of the nature. Then comes the lithosphere. What do lithospheres provides you? Litho means land. It provides you soil ecology, means for fertile. So let's say it's like that. It provides you land in form of soil, which becomes the base for the agriculture. It provides stone, sand, gravel, which are used for construction. Micronutrients in soil are essential for plant development. Microscopic flora, small soil fauna, fungi in soil, important living organisms of the lithosphere. They break down the plant litter as well as the animal waste to provide nutrients to the plant. A large number of minerals on which our industries are based. Oil, coal, gas are extracted from the underground resources. It provides power for vehicles, agriculture machinery, industry, and for our homes. Now, the lithosphere, as I have talked about, the surface of the earth, which has begun with a hot ball, a matter which has formed before 4.6 billion years ago, and somehow life has begun with the cooling down after 3.2 billion years ago. Now, of this, the crust of the earth is which is 6 to 7 kilometer thick and lies under the continents. Of the 92 elements in the lithosphere, only 8 are common constituents of crystal rocks. Of these constituents, 47 is oxygen, 28 is silicon, and 8% is aluminum, 5% is iron, while sodium, magnesium, potassium, and calcium constitutes of 4% each. Together, these elements form about 200 common mineral compounds. Rocks, when broken down from soil on which man is dependent for his agriculture, their minerals are also the raw materials for various industries. And the last comes the biosphere, which provides us full food for all biotic interdependent species. Biospheres provides us food from crops, from domestic animals. They provide food to animals also. It also provides human the metabolic requirements. Food from all form of life which live in as interdependent species in a community and form a food chain in nature on which man is dependent. Energy needs are also provided by biosphere. Biomass fuel wood collected from the forest and plantation are used for generating of energy is one of the source of energy. Timber and other construction materials are also provided from the biosphere. Now, biosphere is one of the thinnest layer, or you can say relatively thin layer on the earth in which life can exist. Within it, the air, water, rocks, and soil, and the living creatures form structural and functional ecological units, which together can be considered as one of the giant global living system that of our earth itself. Within this framework, those characterized by broadly similar geography and climate, as well as communities of plants and animals, life can be divided for convenience into different biogeographical realms. This occur on different continents. Within these small biogeographical units can be identified on the basis of the structure difference and functional aspects into distinctive recognizable ecosystem, which give a distinctive character to a landscape or waterscape. This easily visible and identifiable characteristics can be described at different scales such as those of a country, a state, a district, or even an individual valley, hill range, river or lake. So here we are going to complete our today's lecture. So one of the important point which I want to keep you understand that the simplest of this ecosystem is to understand is the pond. So ecosystem we are going to talk about in the next chapter, but it can be used for model to understand the nature of the ecosystem and to appreciate the changes over time which are seen in the ecosystem. We'll talk about it in another form. How in the next lecture we'll talk about the cycles between the spheres, which includes the biogeochemical cycles. We will talk about the resources and its types like renewable and non-renewable resources, and different types of resources like forest resources, water resources, land mineral, food resources, energy resources, etc. Okay. Thank you, students. We will meet in the next lecture.